it's important to understand the benefits of pranayama. First of all, most of us in North America, about 9 out of 10 of us, are actually chest breathers, which essentially means that we only use the top 1/3 of our lung capacity. When you start practicing your pranayama, you're essentially working on increasing or basically tripling the lung capacity when you start learning to use the bottom portion, the middle, as well as the top portion of the lungs. Also, a lot of us carry scar tissue in our lungs, and again, mostly in the top 1/3 portion. Whether you have been and are still a smoker, whether you've suffered from asthma, or whether you simply live in this world with pollution and all the rest of the toxins that we have around us, bringing these things into our body causes scarring. As a result, when you practice your pranayama and the breath starts to go into the undamaged tissue of the deeper portions of the lungs, you start to increase your VO2, or basically increasing your oxygen capacity. As you increase the oxygen, the metabolic rate increases, the digestion, elimination, and all the rest of the other body functions will actually benefit. As a result, the body tissues of the body and all of the systems increase. There are some basic guidelines to follow when you're practicing pranayama. First of all, it's best to be in a room temperature area. So not a place that's too hot or too cold. If it's too cold especially, the bronchioles and lungs and all the little capillaries and whatnot, they'll all shrink and you'll find it difficult to breathe. Also, for those of you who suffer from mild asthma, some of you will find it difficult in a colder or warmer environment, and that can actually bring on an asthmatic attack. So choose a room temperature, somewhere where you're comfortable. Also, you probably want to blow your nose before you start. The movement of the air through the nostrils, through the mouth, if that's what's required for that breathing exercise, is the priority. So breathe clearly, breathe smoothly. If for some reason your sinuses are clogged up on a particular day, it's okay to skip your practice on that day. If you try to force the air in, you're going to tense the body and you're not going to gain the benefit. So long as the airway is clear, you can practice. The other thing we need to look at is, how are you going to sit during your pranayama practice? Some of you may have less flexibility, some of you may have more flexibility. So today I'm going to give you a few seating positions. Depending on your flexibility, if you're flexible enough to sit on the floor, you can sit with your feet crossed, however they're comfortable, just one in front of the other. If you're a little bit more flexible than that, you can lift the front foot and bring it up into the hip joint. This is a position that's called half lotus. If that's comfortable and you've got a little bit more flexibility, you may want to then move into a full lotus. Now, full lotus does take a fair amount of flexibility in the hips, the glutes, and everything else, but the one huge benefit to this posture is that it keeps your spine erect, and therefore it's one of the most ideal postures for either meditation or pranayama. If, however, you're not comfortable in any of those, you may decide to move into hero's pose. Now, hero's pose is going to require a bit of flexibility in the front of the thighs. Essentially, the heels are going to go to the side of the hips, and you're going to sit down on the floor between your feet. If you're not as flexible, however, you can use a cushion or a foam block and just slide that underneath you and have a seat. With a little less flexibility, you can just simply increase the cushioning, sliding it underneath you and having a seat. If none of these positions work for you, you can always go into a chair. But if you choose to sit in a chair, sit with your back upright. So instead of choosing a really comfy chair that you sink into, choose a straight back chair. The purpose of all of this is in order to keep the spine erect and to keep the airway, as a result, quite open. The other thing you want to be aware of when you're sitting is the position of the chin. It's quite okay to have the chin drop forward slightly. What you want to avoid is having the chin lift up. The chin will tend to lift up if you slouch. And what happens there is the airway becomes restricted. Okay? So if you find sitting completely erect a little bit tough, just simply drop the chin slightly. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to pranayama. And remember, your practice is just that. It's a practice. It takes time to perfect the pranayama, and you may start off with a couple minutes, a couple breaths a day, and over time you'll move into 10 minutes, 20 minutes, what have you, whatever is comfortable for the body. You can choose to practice pranayama several times a day. You can also choose to attach it to your physical yoga practice or to your meditation practice. Certain pranayamas will actually energize the body, and certain pranayamas will relax you down. So as you continue to practice or do your pranayamas, you will be able to feel the effects on your body and choose your pranayamas according to what you're looking for, what effect you want on the body and the mind.